This is Nabeel Qureshi, the late Nabeel Qureshi, who is a Christian apologist, but he was raised as a Muslim, and he left the Muslim faith because he realized Jesus is who he said he was. If you go to the Gospels and you're wondering whether or not Jesus says he is God, you can see the reference from Mark 14:62. Again, the high priest asked him, "Are you the Messiah, the Son of the Blessed One?" Well, Nabeel gives us the answers to this.
Jesus says, "You will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the power and coming with the clouds of heaven." All right, now we have definitely two references to the Old Testament. There's no question that these are references. One's almost a quotation, the Son of Man coming with the clouds of heaven. What's the reference here? Daniel chapter 7, verses 13 and 14. Here in Daniel, Jesus is looking in Daniel is looking in the sky, and he has just seen a vision of the Ancient of Days. There's the Ancient of Days sitting on the throne, being worshipped by angels. The Ancient of Days, the God, the Father, he's sitting there on the throne, being worshipped. And then Daniel says, "And I looked in my night visions, and behold, one like a son of man approached the Ancient of Days." Okay, so it's one who looks like a son of man approaching the Father. And to him, not the Father, and to the Son of Man, the one who looked like a son of man, was given glory, power, and a kingdom. People of every nation and language will serve him. His kingdom is one that will not pass away and be destroyed. Wait a minute. So there's the Father sitting on the throne. You've got someone who looks like a human, that's what it means, the one who looked like a son of man, who's given glory and the kingdom of heaven for all eternity. And in that kingdom, people of every nation and language are going to serve him. What kind of service of this is this? You look at the word service in the Hebrew there, it's pelach. I guess it would be in the Aramaic. And in the Greek, the Septuagint, the word is latruo. Every single time the word latruo is used in the Septuagint and in the New Testament, it's used of a service due only to God. This service is due only to God. Same with the word pelach. It's due only to God. There's one instance in the book of Romans where it was given to someone other than God, and God became furious because it was due to him. But here, we have that service being given to one who looks like a son of man. He's going to be worshipped, served as it were, by all people of all nations in his own kingdom for all eternity. By the way, he's coming on the clouds, the Son of Man, and only God is introduced in the Old Testament as coming on the clouds. So the entrance is a divine entrance. Jesus, when he calls himself the Son of Man throughout the Gospels, he calls himself the Son of Man over 80 times if you count all four Gospels. Nobody else ever calls Jesus the Son of Man, not once. There's one occasion in the book of John where people say, "Who is this Son of Man?" That's it. I mean, that's as close as they get to calling him the Son of Man. So the term Son of Man here is used explicitly by Jesus. It doesn't exist before, let me put it this way. They weren't expecting the Messiah to call himself the Son of Man. No one was expecting the Messiah to call himself the Son of Man. And after Jesus, no one refers to him as the Son of Man afterwards. They're not going around calling him the Son of Man. They're calling him the Christ. Why does that matter? That Jesus called himself the Son of Man passes the criterion of double dissimilarity, or the criterion of dissimilarity, as it were. This criterion is the most stringent criterion used by historians to determine whether Jesus actually said something. The most stringent one there is. There's nothing more stringent than that. So that Jesus called himself the Son of Man is virtually certain. Bart Ehrman disagrees with it. He's Bart. And then we got the statement that you're sitting at the right hand of God. What does that mean? Well, this is a reference to Psalm 110, verse 1. Psalm 110, verse 1, David's writing the psalm. It says, "The Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand, and I shall make the enemy a footstool for your feet." What's the big deal here? No one in the Second Temple period was ever portrayed as sitting at the right hand of God. No one. The reason why is to say that you're sitting at the right hand of God essentially means you're sitting on his throne alongside him, which means you're co-sovereign, you're co-heir. You are in charge with God. If you're sitting on his right hand, that means you are entitled to the same things God is entitled to. You might not have the same office, he's first, you're second, but his substance is shared with you. You are co-heir. And people recognized that at that time, and that's why they never depicted anyone sitting with God. Now, they had people standing. Some people had Moses standing at the right hand of God. Some people had Ezra standing at the right hand of God, but no one ever put anyone sitting at the right hand of God in the Second Temple period. This is probably the most convincing of the three statements here to show exactly what Jesus was saying. At first, I found the Son of Man stuff more convincing. The more I look into this, the more I realize that sitting at the right hand of power is even stronger. Which is why, by the way, Christians quoted this verse of the Old Testament, Psalm 110, verse 1. They quoted this more than anything else in the New Testament. 24 times this verse is quoted in the New Testament. It meant a lot to them at a very early phase in Christian history. We see it in Matthew as well. When Jesus is asking them, he's asking the people, who do you think is superior, David or the Messiah? And then he quotes this. So we find it throughout the Gospels. So right here, by the way, when Jesus says that he can sit at the right hand of God, do you understand the image that's being drawn here? You've got the Holy of Holies, which is kind of the inner sanctum. It's a reflection of God in heaven, correct? You guys, you with me? Am I losing you? Do we need to take lunch? Okay. So you got the Holy of Holies. This is kind of the reflection of God's place in heaven. What is the throne? What is the reflection of the throne in the Holy of Holies? The mercy seat. The Ark of the Covenant. Jesus is saying that he can go into the Holy of Holies and sit on the Ark of the Covenant. Yeah, that's where Hebrews gets a lot of its Christology from. And Hebrews does quote Psalm 110, verse 1. Now let's stop and think about this for a second. He's talking to the high priest. Who's the high priest? This is the guy who can only go into the Holy of Holies once a year on the Day of Atonement. And when he does that, he wears a rope around his leg in case he accidentally does something blasphemous and they have to drag his dead body out. That is the guy he's talking to. He says, I can march in there right now and sit down right on that throne. He's not saying anything light here. He is going all out. So in Jesus' words then, Mark 14:62, he claims to be the I am, if you think that's strong enough, definitely claims to be the Son of Man coming on the clouds, and definitely claims to be sitting at the right hand of the power. Potentially a threefold claim to deity. I am the God of Moses, I am the God of Daniel, and I am the God of David. Which is why they rip open their robes and they say, what more reason is there to question this man? He's committed blasphemy before all of you. Let's crucify him. Abundantly clear that Jesus here claims to be divine. People who argue with that, for example, Bart Ehrman. I keep bringing up Ehrman not because he's, my punching bag, but because.
Now let's listen to this comment that Bart Ehrman says, and think about the credibility of Bart Ehrman. Bart is a professor over at the University of North Carolina. He talks about the New Testament a lot. He has made the assertions that Mark is a weaker claims to Jesus and John is at the utmost highest claims to Jesus. And he does that because he figures Mark was written first and then they developed this legendary beliefs over time. But Bart is wrong. And here we're going to see exactly how Bart is wrong. And you guys can question Bart's honesty here if you're busy reading his books like Misquoting Jesus. The interesting thing is in the second edition, in the appendix of Misquoting Jesus, where he intends to try to pretend that Christianity is not based on sound evidence, he actually says that he and his mentor, the late Bruce Metzger, do agree on something, that all of the core tenets of Christianity have been retained. What we have in the Gospels is reliable, essentially. So let's see what he says about Bart Ehrman when he questions Bart Ehrman about 1462 from Mark.
Because he was my professor at UNC, and so I got to interact with him a lot. I asked him, I said, what do you think of Mark 14:62? He says, it doesn't make sense. And I said, what do you mean it doesn't make sense? He said, in order for this verse to make sense, Mark would have to think Jesus claimed to be God. Yes. Yes. And he says it doesn't make sense. Mark doesn't know what he's talking about, is what.
See, and that's just a very unfortunate and dishonest approach from Bart Ehrman. And it's interesting that Nabeel was his student, and so Nabeel got to get a firsthand witness to that. So thank you so much. Please like, subscribe, and do come again. Bye-bye.